don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
Hello there. So great to be back with you. Another summer week ahead. I'm loving the warmth. I'm loving the beach, but I am a little overextended with kids' sports and kids' camps. You'd think the sports were just for the school year, but you'd be wrong. We have practices and sports in addition to new camps every week for each child. I can't see straight with how busy I am this summer, but it's all good stuff, all exciting stuff. And of course, I'm designing as well. So I'm hard at work, as I have been for multiple weeks, on the $6 million apartment on the Upper West Side. I get to do a nursery. I get to do an amazing living dining combo. One of the most exciting things about this project that I'm doing from soup to nuts, all the light fixtures, all the paints, all the finishes, all the wallpapers. My favorite part is that this couple is a collector of fine art. So they have amazing tastes. You know, art is so subjective that one person's collection can be wonderful and another person's collection can be wonderful, and they don't have to necessarily like each other's wall hangings, right? I happen to totally love the vibe of their art. It's very pop art meets contemporary art. It's colorful, it is bold, it's loud, it's unapologetic, it's a little controversial, it's fun. So many pieces are like sculptural but behind plexiglass or oil on canvas. I mean, there's just a huge variety, and there's about 30 pieces for me to pick from, and I am a kid in a candy store. Today I was presenting one of their rooms to them, and I said, we need a really big piece of art. I mean, this piece of art needs to be like 6 feet wide and 5 feet high, something really dramatic. And they're like, Betsy, why don't you pick it for us? We don't have anything like that in our collection. I was like, oh no, guys. I will spend hours, if not days, selecting the perfect piece that meets these criteria. And you have such an eye, such an aesthetic. And even though the budget is bottomless, or maybe topless. No, people don't say topless. Anyway, there is no budget for this piece. I'm worried that you're instantly not going to like it because you guys have that critical eye that's so unique to you. I would rather you bring me a few choices for artwork and then I could pick, or just bring me one choice and say, Betsy, make this work. Because it's so important that if you do have an affinity for art, that you find something that resonates with you. Now, I love a good stopgap if you're searching and don't want an empty wall in the meantime, if you just want to put something up that's affordable. But if you really love collecting art and are quite specific about it, you're ideally the one who should choose it. So luckily, they took me up on that offer and are going to find some things for me this weekend. All right, let's launch in because we have questions. Questions. I think we have a question from across the pond, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, this one comes from Veronica from Bournemouth, Dorset, England. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So Veronica writes, Hi, Betsy. I recently found your fantastic podcast and have been binge listening to your back catalog, and I get very excited when a new episode drops. We've moved into our forever Edwardian home last year and have been renovating it top to bottom. It hasn't been decorated since the 70s. Our style is blended Victorian with mid-century modern wooden furniture. We want to create a layered and welcoming home. I've always wanted a green living room long before it became trendy. So we set about painting it card room green by Farrow and Ball. We hope that goes well with the pink velvet sofas we brought with us. We plan our third accent color to be blue. Once time and funds allow, we plan to Victorian-tile the fireplace and wall surround and add matching tiled hearth. I'm debating whether the green color drenching or painting the fireplace black with the mantle. Okay, so I guess she's debating whether to color drench in terms of also painting the mantle green or painting it black. I also hope to swap out the white chandelier for a more mid-century Sputnik style fixture. However, It is the space overall that I feel stuck on. How do I dress the walls? How do I add more texture? What about the curtain style? And adding complementary furniture on which I can place houseplants, lamps, and other decorative objects. I worry about the room feeling contrived or staged. I hope you can cast your expert eye over this space and identify how to bring it all together, please. Many thanks, Veronica. Well, Veronica, you, like the clients I'm working with, don't mind going bold. You are drawn to things that are dramatic and are going to create a statement. And personally, you have plenty to worry about, I'm sure, but I would not worry about it feeling contrived or staged. What I want it to feel is authentic to you. So let's get into it because I do think that we're headed into dangerous territory. Before I dig in, for those of you not listening along on YouTube, where you can actually see the images, I'm going to describe it to you. All right, so this is a beautiful space. I mean, it has lovely old bones, and you know I'm a sucker for old spaces. Okay, starting at the top, we've got a room for a chandelier. Now, the chandelier looks to be a little small. The ideal diameter of a chandelier, not above a dining table, but just in a room, like on the ceiling in a room. Above a dining table is a different story. But the ideal size in inches is the width of the room plus the length of the room. So if the width of the room was 10 feet, or I'm sorry, did I say in inches? Oh my gosh, it's a long day, guys, long day. Okay, so if the room was 10 feet wide and the room is 14 feet long, you add 10 plus 14, that's 24, and that should be in inches, the diameter of the shade or the chandelier. Okay? Just a little tip. I'm getting off topic, but I started at the top and I've been working on things and been thinking about that. Okay. Beautiful crown molding. This beautiful bay window with a window seat. It's got these wonderful warm sage walls. It appears to be light gray or off-white carpeting. We do have this kind of strange fireplace in the fact that the carpeting goes right up to the fireplace surround. There's currently no hearth, which looks a little strange. But then, the fireplace opening is quite small compared to the opening in the fireplace surround. So not only do we have like baseboard molding below the fireplace opening, which is very unusual, we also have a lot of space on side to side and on top of the fireplace opening before you reach that wooden surround and mantle. Concerning to me. Okay. Then you've got these pink sofas. They look to be velvet. They look to be more like love seat size, each of them. And normally green and pink would not be my go-to because green and red, and we know that pink is just a lighter shade of red. Anyway, pink or green and red, excuse me, we associate with Christmas, but we also associate with excitement, fervor, and it's because they're complementary colors. They're directly across from each other on the color wheel. And when they get together, they create like a vibration and an energy that's very frenetic. So because this is pink, it's less frenetic. Because this is pink, it reads less Christmas, but still sometimes complementary colors, they're better left for like school mascots, or something like that, where the energy is really important and integral to the idea versus a living room where maybe that much energy feels a little manic. In this case, because both tones are muted, I'm not necessarily feeling like that, but we're going to have to take this back to an inspiration piece. And I'm not seeing that here. Now, maybe it's the stained glass. Ugh, another thing, you just have my heart. You've got stained glass here. You've got two windows that appear to have some green, some pink, and then some yellow with the flowers. In my mind, that could be giving you your three colors, but you seem set on blue. Problem is, you do not pick these three colors arbitrarily. You say you've been listening to the episodes, Veronica. I don't believe it. Maybe you've been listening while you're walking the dog or doing the dishes because you're not taking in all the information. I wasn't expecting this, but yes, you're getting a little Betsy smackdown. The key is that you need to derive this from an inspiration piece, a piece of art or patterned curtains. In this case, we're not going to do an area rug because we have wall-to-wall carpeting, so it'd feel a little redundant and potentially even be a tripping hazard. So let's just assume it's going to be a piece of art. You need to find a piece of art that includes this beautiful rich sage green, that includes this mauve cool pink, and then that includes the shade of blue that you want to use. It seems, based on what I'm seeing around the room, there's two shades you're considering, either a baby blue or like a royal blue. I'd steer away from too many pastels. We don't want this to feel like a nursery or a spa. But the royal blue is feeling a little incongruous. But the key is when you find that inspiration piece you love that includes the color palette you want to use, we know that those colors are harmonizing because you love the inspiration piece. So I really like hearing from people when they have issues, but sometimes we have to take it back to the basics. Do I have an inspiration piece? Next question I'm going to be asking you, Veronica, what is your two-word phrase? And of course, if you've been listening long enough, you know it's actually a three-word phrase. What are those words? I can help you best when I know these things because then I can really direct you. In terms of your questions, let's go back. Do I think that you should color drench? You know, this house has such historical, beautiful moldings. And the mantle you've chosen is kind of small and doesn't look all that historic. For me, it's kind of a bummer. Now, I wish you could pick a different mantle, and if you could just wave your magic wand like they do on Castle Impossible and go out to the shed and find the perfect fireplace surround, I would have chosen a marble. Stone for me is missing in this room in terms of an element, in terms of finding that feng shui balance of incorporating all the elements into one space. Um, I like the idea of the color drenching because then it would blend into the background because it is kind of a non-entity in this really special room. But really, I just want you to get a bigger one. I do. And I like the idea of the tile. That would really help that fireplace opening to feel more intentional. In terms of dressing the walls, oh my gosh, we can't even go there yet. Like we have other questions to answer, but I'll help you because I'm nice. Um, you have very high ceilings, a great problem. But that means that you need to do larger art. You have a circular mirror above the fireplace, which you know I'm going to love because that water energy of the mirror offsets the fire energy of the firebox. So we're going to need a big piece of art above the sofa, that main sofa that's opposite the fireplace. The other smaller sofa and or love seat, I really want you to pull it off the wall. Right now, behind it is wedged a radiator and it does look wedged. It does look like you're trying to hide the radiator. And for me, it feels a little uncomfortable. Can I mention something else that's bothering me? Something that I think would completely transform this room? I better not. The door is swinging the wrong way. The door swing, believe it or not, can really impact where you're putting the furniture and how the room feels. Typically, a door swing, when you open the door, you can see into the room. So typically, when you open that door, you're standing kitty corner from the other side of the room. In this case, when you open the door, you're staring at the perpendicular wall. The door is opening up into the room, but you kind of have to go around to see the space. For me, that's a real miss. Now, I know you've got the light switch there, but I'm just wondering if there's anything that can be done to either get this to swing the other way inside or to move it to the other wall so it swings next to the radiator, a wall that we're not really able to use that much anyway. These are key logistical points that we must address before we put on the fun stuff. You know, it's like you got to get that right outfit. You got to get the right pants with the right shirt before you think about how you're going to do your hair, what earrings you're going to wear, what color you're going to paint your fingernails, what kind of shoes you're going to wear. No, 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 no. We got to get the pants and we got to get the shirt. And right now we don't have the pants or the shirt, Veronica. I know. it sounds dire. It sounds like, Betsy, you didn't help me with the questions I have. But I think I gave you some new, more important questions that will allow us to answer these other questions in a way that's much more stylish and much more professional. Let's just put it that way. All right, so Veronica, this means that you get to rate me again. Send me those questions, send me those answers. If you're grappling with what I told you to do, let me know about it. Send me another email. All you have to do is go to affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, that's affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. And there you're going to see a little form that you're going to fill out, and you're going to let me know what you think about what I thought. All right, now we're going to get into something I've been watching on Netflix. I finished it in one setting. It was pretty short, and it's Netflix's Tell Me Who I Am. Now, speaking of, I think that they were British as well. Yes, I think they were. Okay, so these were two twins who grew up in a family, and this one twin in his, I think, 20s. In his 20s, he had a bad accident and he lost all of his memories. He was in a coma, he was in the hospital. It totally erased 100% of his memory. So when his family came to pick him up, he met his twin brother for the first time. He met his mom, he met his dad. His dad was mean and grumpy. His mom was friendly and a little eccentric, but for the most part, sort of the nice one of the parents. And then his brother was very helpful because he was asking his brother all these questions like, who am I? Where did I originate from? Who is my girlfriend? What did I like to eat? He's getting just all these memories back from, he thought, a reliable narrator, his twin brother. I mean, who could be more reliable? And the fact that his twin brother is his exact same age, of course. So they were up in school together, maybe having the same teachers, certainly having a lot of the same friends, and could really share the experiences from the inside out, which was essentially giving his twin his twin's name was Alex, who lost his memory. So Alex lost his memory and Marcus was informing him. And so Marcus was essentially giving Alex back the previous years that he'd lost, right? However, Marcus was sharing only the memories he wanted his brother to have. Marcus and Alex had a really tough past filled with lots of. Now, guys, you should know by now that the second half of my show is no longer kid friendly because we're going to talk about things I'm watching, and oftentimes that's not kid friendly. So if you have kids listening, send them to a different room right now. But basically, Alex and Marcus were sexually abused by their mother. And their mother not only sexually abused them, but then she would take them to other people's houses and have the men in those houses sexually abuse them. She would just drop them off, I think from the ages of like 5 to 14, just drop them off at strangers' houses and they would be sexually assaulted. I mean, it was astounding and horrific. And Marcus was actually really excited or saw some kind of silver lining to his brother losing all of his memories because he would lose all of that, right? And it was shared history with Marcus. So they could both forget, they could both pretend that that had never happened. And so Marcus decided not to tell his brother about the sexual abuse. Well, his mom dies, right? The mom dies of old age, and they're cleaning out the attic and cleaning out things. And I guess Marcus leaves Alex to do some of that stuff. And Alex is looking through old pictures and he sees a picture of them together as boys at the beach. And the mom has ripped off their heads. So the picture is just of their torsos and legs in their swim trunks with no head. And it's really disturbing to Alex. And he's like, there must be something going on here. So he takes it to his brother. And by this time, the brothers are kind of estranged. Something's been between them that hasn't been kind of spoken or something like that. They've both gone on to sort of lead their own lives and get married to different spouses and have separate children and things like this, okay? Well, Marcus only comes clean on this documentary about the sexual abuse that they both experienced. So they finally have a sit down and, they decide to put the past behind them in terms of whatever broke them up initially after Alex regained consciousness. And then they were buddies for a while, and then something broke the relationship. And now they're coming back together. And Marcus has agreed on this documentary to reveal what has happened. And the problem is that now Marcus can't deny it for himself either. So for so many years, he was able to have a relationship with his mom because of Alex, because they wiped the slate clean. And Marcus chose to forget everything that had happened to him. And now that he's sharing it with his brother, he's going to have to relive it all. He's going to have to remember and acknowledge that it really did happen. And so not only is it a tragedy for his brother Alex, who felt like he'd had a great relationship with his mom, and now it's too late for him to, bring it up to her or seek any type of justice because she's dead. And then Marcus now has to stop living in denial and has to kind of deal anew with these horrible memories. So the question is, did Marcus have a right to keep these memories from Alex? And what would you do if somebody who'd had a traumatic shared past woke up and you could shield them from that? Is it okay to rewrite their identity and in turn rewrite your own? Are you really just doing it for selfish reasons to spare yourself these memories? Um, I can't say as I had clear takeaways from this. I can't say that I like had a take or felt upset one way or another. Certainly, I felt upset that Alex had had such a close relationship with his mom before she died and didn't get to deal with this, didn't get to understand that it was all built on lies and horrific crimes. And I think that kind of trauma is stored in the body, whether or not it's stored in the mind. And I just wonder what kind of toxic poison that put in the brothers' relationship. So by shielding Alex from this, he was, in essence, fissuring his own relationship with his brother. I just think it's really sad. And of course, Alex was very upset and felt betrayed. And now, how could Alex believe any of the memories his brother told him? Like when we went out to dinner, did I really like the spaghetti with clams, or was I more of a lamb shank guy? How could you trust anything he said after knowing that he's buried this biggest, most formative experience in some ways? So I just really thought that it was thought-provoking. It was deeply sad. It was troubling. It was angering as a parent. I mean, I can't imagine. There were just so many layers, but ultimately I was left feeling really sad for these brothers who had to grapple with this issue that they should have never had to deal with. It should have been put squarely on the mom's shoulders. I wish that Marcus had shared with his brother earlier so that they could have, if not gotten justice in the court system, at least gotten justice in the familial system and put her feet to the fire and been like, hey, we couldn't share with you that this was wrong back then because we were young children and we were dependent on you. But now we can. I mean, they were caretakers for her at the end. Ah, oi. Anyway, if you want something that is enraging and deeply thought-provoking, you won't want to miss Netflix Tell Me Who I Am. Sad, intriguing, a good watch, but a difficult one. All right, guys. Well, if there's something I should be watching, if there's a design dilemma I should be talking about, all you have to do is go over to Affordable Interior Design. affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Once again, that's affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast. Leave me a note about something you're working on or something you're watching or reading. I want to watch, read, and work on it too. So until next time, everybody, bye. A big thank you to our amazing producer, Catherine Heller, to Aton and the MVCR House Band, and to Affordable Interior Design, the sponsor of this podcast and the premier place to get an amazing look on a budget. Check out affordableinteriordesign.com. If you guys love the show, the very best way to support us is by spreading the word. Tell your friends or write us an awesome review on iTunes. So until next week, guys, thanks so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.